All right, great. Hope everybody's enjoying the program so far. Next up, I'm just going to introduce Darijan Sotirovski. He's the director of the Macedonian State Commission for Relations with Religious Communities and Groups. Please welcome Darijan.
So, dear organizers, dear hosts, distinguished colleagues, representatives of state authorities, churches and religious communities, representatives of the non-governmental sector, scientists and journalists. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude for the opportunity to be part of this summit, to have an active participation in these few unique days in Washington here is a great honor for me. We all present here are different, but one thing is or should be the same for all of us, and that is our absolute commitment to serve the inviolable human rights by guaranteeing and promoting the religious freedoms and rights. The corpus of religious freedoms and their significance and justification can be analyzed through a broader analytical aspect. Every society finds its justification, while at the same moment it has become aware that it is important and necessary to protect the religious freedoms and rights. Now it's important to emphasize that the attitude of the state towards religion has an impact on the people, especially bearing in mind the high rates of religiosity. People, on the other hand, are an immediate precondition for peace in society. Peace in society brings progress and development. Such development can be systemic, political, economic, educational, and cultural. It's great responsibility. While protecting religious freedoms and rights, we protect the pillar on which society is based, and that is the integrity of man, which of course guarantee development. The reasons why today's world deserves the attribute of modern and developed have been achieved through a long evolution of social maturity, but also through the strong efforts of the conscious ones who have motivated and dynamized the processes. In this regard, emphasizing the gratitude that the United States organized this event with special care and enthusiasm this year, I want to express respect and gratitude on behalf of the Macedonian Republic for all of the efforts for development of international religious freedoms and rights. The adoption of the International Religious Freedom Act of 1998 is an important act that today still deserves to be emphasized as a turning point in the treatment of religious freedoms and rights in international relations and diplomacy. Bearing in mind that this law set religious freedom in the world as a goal of external USA policy. The formation of the US Commission on International Religious Freedom, the appointment of the ambassador at large for international religious freedom, and the special advisor at the National Security Council, which resulted from this significant act, strongly intensified US efforts in this important area. Dear participants, as director of the Macedonian State Commission for Relations with Religious Communities and Groups, one of the state's oldest institutions, and only one in charge of the religious affairs, I started serving my second term. I am proud that our citizens have traditional respect for religious rights and values, and living in the country with over 90% religious population has never led to inter-religious conflicts. We currently have 43 registered churches, faith communities, and religious groups with which we are establishing cooperation and constant dialogue. As a competent state institution for religious affairs, we opened a new chapter of the relations between the state and religious communities. We're in the honest approach. We built an atmosphere of trust and cooperation between confessions, increased care for the needs of the religious communities, protection of the secular character of the state, and promotion of religious freedoms and rights of our citizens. In the past period, we have dedicated ourselves also to raising and motivating the cooperation between the institutions for religious affairs of the countries of the region of Southeast Europe, which resulted in organizing the first multilateral meeting at the beginning of this year in our capital, Skopje. The exchange of experiences must be priority in our further work. This year will be remembered for the fact that over 55 years, the Macedonian Orthodox Church, Ohrid Archbishopric, received its recognition and canonical unity with other Orthodox churches thanks to the decision of the Ecumenical Patriarchate of 9th of May. This is a very important thing for the Macedonian citizens, for the believers, and it really means a lot for religious freedoms and rights, especially since in Orthodox Christianity, they should be practiced in communion with everyone else. In the past period, we have established the highest relations with the Holy See and the Catholic Church. Pope Francis visited our country for the first time 3 years ago. The next year, we will mark 55 years of the manifestation in honor of Saint Cyril, our educator, which we traditionally hold in the Vatican. We have established healthy ties with our Islamic religious community, which makes a significant contribution to the development of our multi-confessional country. The state also has excellent relations with Protestant churches and Jewish community. Working in the field of religious affairs also notes the existence of current challenges. For their overcoming, the interstate cooperation, the multilateral form of cooperation of the institutions, and various social actors, as well as of the religious entities represented in the countries, are especially important. I think that behind the veil of guaranteed religious freedoms and rights, especially in countries with democratic values, there is a risk of abuse of rights. They are misusing to develop radical ideologies, radical interpretations of traditions, and radical indoctrination of the young generation of believers. At present, this problem is not treated strongly enough on the international stage. Why is the traditional way of practicing world religions insufficient for many believers? How do radical rituals find acceptance among young people in the world? How is the financing of such processes controlled in different countries? Who has benefited from substitution of religious patience and tolerance with religious absolutism? We are faced with a period ahead of us that should be used wisely to create a strong international coalition that will oppose the radicalization of the practice of the faith. In the modern world, to believe is your right. Not to believe is your right also. But protecting the public interest, peace and prosperity is our common obligation. Dear participants, my country, the Macedonian institutions and the Macedonian citizens will always be here when it comes to the human rights of every single human being. We will support all policies that aim to protect democratic benefits. We will try to perceive them and use the opportunities to be better tomorrow than we are today, to lend a hand and build new better times for all. Thank you for your attention. Благодаря.